So, so let's close our eyes, everyone, and start to tune into our breath. Breathing through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. See how you feel this quality of your breath. Is it shallow? Is it deep? We are just doing a guided meditation, so you need not be hungry 2 hours before. Feel free to join in, everyone. It's a simple guided meditation with some simple breathing. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. The exhale is almost like a sigh of relief. You can even make some sounds. One more time. Beautiful. Let's keep our eyes closed and our heart center is touched by our palm. So let's gently bring our palm onto the heart center. Yes, beautiful. And let's just stay with our breath, everyone. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And stay with your breath as we step into this guided meditation. Feel the support of the ground beneath you. Steady, unchanging. Inhale the calm. Exhale any tension that there may be in the body or mind. With every breath, we allow the body to soften, grounding fully in the moment, feeling that touch between the body and the surface we are sitting. Do not pause your breathing, keep it gentle and nice. And slowly turn your attention inward. Imagine your thoughts as leaves floating on a stream. So many thoughts. We get so many thoughts every day. Just watch them pass by without chasing or holding on to them. See if any particular thought feels too heavy or negative. Maybe it's from yesterday or from the week that went by, or in our life in general. There's no need to judge this thought. Just observe it with curiosity. It's just flowing on the stream. And stay connected to your breath. As you bring your focus to this particular thought, Ask yourself, is this thought absolutely true? Am I magnifying the negative or ignoring the positive? Could there really be another way hidden, but another way to see this situation? And now gently reframe this thought if you can. Keep no pressure doing this for the first time. Stay with your breath, be gentle. Gently reframe the thought if you can. Replace it with something kinder, more balanced. For example, if your thought was, I am not good enough, you might replace it with, I am doing my very best, and that is enough. Again, no push. Keep it gentle, keep it flowing. Now imagine placing your old thought on a leaf and literally letting it flow away. It's flowing down the stream. Watch it drift further and further until it's really out of sight. Now gently repeat silently after me. I do have the power to choose kinder thoughts for myself and for others. I release what doesn't serve me and embrace clarity. Take one more deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And feel this sense of lightness, stillness, and relief. And now gently rub both your palms. And bring the warmth that you just created first to your eyes. And then to your heart center. And stay there for some time. No hurry to open the eyes. Let's just stay with this calm we just created. And when you like, you can come back to this space. So thank you everyone for joining the opening meditation. Those of you who were able to imagine that one negative thought or maybe more, just give me a thumbs up. Madhuri, Stuti, Vinisha, me, Varsha, okay, Shipra. Oh, there's some on chat as well. Dimple, Dr. Sharika. Yeah. So looks like some of us were able to get on to that one thought that we imagine to be negative. And it's Namu. And it's okay if we couldn't. Good. Maybe we are not imagining some negative thoughts for today. We are not able to get to that one negative thought. That's also good. And then how many of you were actually able to reframe the thought with a kinder statement? We'll do another. Okay, Dr. Sharika, thank you for sharing. It's not that easy. That's why the session. Madhuri. Okay, amazing. So I'd like to start with something very significant, right? Some interesting statistics where research has shown, as we also introduced it in the message, that almost 75 to 80% of our thoughts are negative. And there are around 60,000 thoughts in a human mind every single day, small, big, all put together. And so imagine 75 to 80% of them as negative and 90% of them as repetitive. So if you do some math, we are having some repetitive negative thoughts. This is the usual scenario for most humans. If we add a layer of mental health disorders in terms of depression, anxiety, or anything else that a person may be going through, this is still a higher number than that, right? Because it's more colored. So that really tells us something around that gentle nudge we may have to give ourselves when we think of uh, these thoughts on a daily basis, in and out. And most of us are on that slide almost, that it can be a auto response, that the first reaction may be first negative. And that takes a big hit on how we experience life itself. The peace, the joy. Now, I'm not saying that we have to get into some sort of toxic positivity, think positive, think positive. No, I'm not saying that, because some things need to be clearly seen for what they are. But if these are the statistics, it's worth our inquiry and understanding what we can do to really reframe some of the negative thoughts, if not all. So, so I really use this in my therapy practice a lot. And I feel that this is something that should be widely shared. I use it for my own life also quite a lot, and yet sometimes struggle. And some things truly deserve some reality checks. So I'm not talking about those things, but I'm talking more about how we go about our daily living. So far, any questions or just any thoughts? Anybody wants to unmute and speak on the topic? This is an interactive theory session. Even the slides, you guys will be reading the slides and I will be just explaining. So we are all awake. So go ahead and tell me your thoughts, if any, on the chat. Is it a shock? Is it a surprise, the statistics, or is it we know it, we want to do something? So chat window or anything if you like. Also, if you all have a journal next to you, this could truly be your time to also go inward as the slides flash. Yeah, I see there are some more people in the waiting room. Just give me a second. Okay, so I hope you all have your journals and maybe started to write something. I've also admitted some more participants. I think we are all here. Maybe some left and rejoined. Okay. So let me know if you can share, you can see what I'm presenting along with the music, hopefully. Is this okay? You can see? Okay, good. So I'm going to pick one person and that person picks the other person and we all get to present the slides. It's very simple, self-explanatory, but also it will keep us up and running and thinking more deeply if that's okay. I don't want to be reading the slides for you guys. So I'll start with Madhuri. Go ahead, the second slide. And then when you finish, you take a pause and nominate the next person. I'll explain something and we'll move on. Is that good?
I have to
Thank
read out,
you.
right?
Yeah, just read slowly so everybody can process what we are doing here. You can also bring in your inputs. This is a discussion, not just what's there on the slide. So feel free.
Sure. Thoughts are omnipresent in our lives, human being and thoughts. A normal human has approximately 60,000 thoughts every single day. Of those, 75% or 45,000 thoughts are negative. And of these, 90% of these thoughts are repetitive. Impact of negative thoughts can significantly impact our mental health and overall well-being, increase stress and anxiety, decrease self-esteem, and a general sense of unhappiness and dissatisfaction. Repetitive thoughts become deeply ingrained. I think for me, um, last when I was in this spiral of negative thinking, what I could understand is the more I was negative thinking, it's like a dal, I was
Get
getting deep
pulled.
inside that. Yeah, getting pulled every day unless I really hit a rock bottom. Like
Hmm.
and I really I can't live this way. I cannot, sustain like this. And then that becomes your ground where you have to then start turning things around. That's what I have observed in this negative thinking pattern for myself.
Yeah, pretty much you summarized it for most of us. That's why 90% are repetitive. Why it feels like a daldal is because there
Yeah,
is no coming
get
back.
put.
It just keeps going on. So, that is so true. And I feel that we have, until something major happens, we probably also don't question this way of thinking because it is so in us, right? So that makes it even more like omnipresent but hidden. Unless we learn to catch ourselves, it's like we are going with what we know, and not to take away that pain is not to be felt. Maybe there's a reason why you are feeling sad. Maybe there's a thought and feelings are connected to them, and that's okay. But what we are talking about here is constant churning and unable to move on for the longest time. And then that
And I
becomes
think
disease.
the more work I have done in this, it's not that negative thinking has gone away, or I am full positive thinker and always optimistic. But it's just that understanding where I'm going into that spiral of negative thinking.
Yeah,
That okay, now I'm getting into that same circle. So
yeah.
that has timing has reduced, I feel, the work I have
That's
done.
that's beautiful sharing. Would you like to nominate somebody?
Yeah, sure. I'll nominate Stuti.
Okay, Stuti, is it
Hello,
okay
hi.
for you to? Yeah,
Yeah, yes, yes.
thank you.
Okay, cognitive distortion. What is cognitive distortion? Biased or irrational ways of thinking that can negatively affect a person's perception of themselves, others, and the world around them. Faulty or inaccurate thinking, perception, or belief. Exaggerated patterns of thought that are not based on facts. Impact. Cognitive distortions fuel mental health issues, reinforce negative beliefs, perceptions, and behaviors, affect people of all ages, especially teenagers, leads to poor self esteem, negative outlook on life, increased feelings of stress, depression, and anxiety. I think this was one of my main reasons of finding the time to definitely join is to learn more about cognitive distortions and how we can change them. I think many people can resonate with how if your negative thoughts especially become 90% repetitive, you end up almost believing some stories you keep telling yourself or somebody has told you, of how the world works or how you should work and what you're expected to be like and stuff like that. I yeah, really hope to be able to discover how to disconnect from that over the years, been able to find ways like just taking a pause um, before responding or before picking onto some new chain of thoughts has sometimes been helpful.
Yeah.
What do you think could be other ways?
That's a good starting point. And also, if you see, it can impact people of all ages, especially teenagers. But the interesting point here is we have all been once a teenager, and then that just becomes solid, more solid, and more solid, right? So there's like, ये कोई स्कूल नहीं पढ़ा रहा है, that I can promise. So it's like we're just finishing coursework after coursework, and we are not able to get to some of the basics of life. Prabha, you seem to have a question. Thank you so much, Stuti. I'll be moving to the next one, but also take a question that is here for us. And Stuti, if you can just nominate somebody, and then I'll go to the question from Prabha.
Shipra, if you are
Okay.
there, available.
Okay. Thank you. We'll go to Shipra. So, would you like to ask your question?
It's not more of a question, Chandni. What actually when she was reading the entire last slide,
हाँ.
and what was going through my mind was, ये तो मैं थी 9th standard में.
Oh.
And when you mentioned teenager, I wanted to say that, I am very sure even on the call, many of us would have thought this was at some point of life, we would have been this. So I kind of was able to, I won't say attach, but yeah, kind of relate to myself, the past myself. Okay, I've done all of this when I was in like 8th standard or 9th standard. And when you mentioned the term teenager, it was like, yeah, I should share this.
Oh, thank you so much for opening up here. It almost feels like a little bit of group therapy. I can also relate to what you are saying. I often think to myself कि therapist तो मैं बहुत बाद में बनी, but if I knew a depression inventory existed back then, and now that I see that inventory, I was clinically depressed, but there was no diagnosis somehow, even
And
though
we
there
didn't
was.
even know that was happening.
Yeah, and perennially being sad over a crush I couldn't approach, or just seeing them together. I'll just keep finding my reason of pain and keep on going on, and as if some sort of comfort, even in crying, So just
Exactly, yes.
let me just
Just
throw
the
some more
negative
signs.
thoughts.
I would like to now throw some more signs into this. So, more recently, the kind of uh, neuroplasticity and all of those things, the field is revealing that actually there are chemicals that get released in our body when we are thinking negative, and most of them are very addictive. So, it may even be unknowingly only, but we are actually getting addicted to that pain and that loop of things because we are thriving on some chemicals which are giving a comfort of a different kind, if I am able to put it
Yes,
together.
comfort is
So,
actually the key word.
yeah, and so I am not talking about that occasional crying that must happen actually to be able to unburden ourselves. I am talking about stepping into it every now and then, right? And feeling that solace in that pain zone. I saw somebody else's hand going up, or was it just okay? Somebody's chatting. Also, the idea of your nervous system choosing a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Oh, yeah, that's so true. Madhuri says, same here. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. So, Shipra, do you want to go next? And this is a very light slide, so I am going to ask you to do both 4 and 5.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hi, everyone. So, types of cognitive distortion: overgeneralization, all or nothing, mental filter, magnification, should and must statements, jumping to the conclusion, discounting the positive, labeling, emotional reasoning, and personalization and blame. I think I've
Hmm.
pretty much gone through everything. It's like someone putting a personal attack on all of us now. It just feels like
Oh,
that.
I understand. Thank you for your honesty and opening up. And sure, most of us in at some age, in some sense, may have experienced all. And although these are quite self-explanatory, but subsequent slides will bring more color with examples and whatnot. And I'm not opening this up for discussion because we are anyway going to go deeper into it. So, Shipra, if you could also just take us to the next slide and start with the
Yes,
first. Yeah.
yes. So overgeneralization, overview, forming negative belief based on a single incident or piece of evidence, making broad negative conclusions that are far beyond what the situation indicates. Words like always, never, everything, and nothing, as frequently used in train of thoughts. Example: I'll never find love. I never accomplish anything. You always are late. I'm always a failure. You never respond on time. Trust my luck. Birds always crap on me. So very relatable.
Yeah. So, thank
And
you
I
for
think we do.
sharing that.
Yes.
Are
Thank
you
you.
able to pick up a? This is not to put a spotlight on you, but if you only want to, then can you share something that you relate from this slide? Otherwise, also it's okay, but if you can.
Yes, I relate a lot to the I will never find love thing because there have
Mm-hmm.
been so many experiences which have not been positive that after a point you just, you're like, what is happening?
Mm.
So it becomes very difficult, to, and then there is so much of study also on this attachment and that attachment, and how we mirror, how partners mirror each other's trauma and all of that. It gets, I think it's too complicated. And then as you grow older, you realize love is not that simple. And I think Bollywood, I hate Bollywood because they all, they made it sound all like, how हवा चल रही है, गाने बज रहे हैं, and it's not like that. So Karan Johar, I hate him. He's the one responsible for all this. But because I remember Shah Rukh being like, "Oh, I love you, Kiran," and all of that nonsense, and
Yeah.
all those big monologues and all of that. And because Bollywood sells on love, and we are fed that from a very young age, and then it doesn't help that there are hormones when you're a teenager. There is fiction also, which is based on love story. So all of that
Yeah.
really messes up our own expectations and our own experiences. And then I think
Wow.
after a
Yeah.
certain point, you go
Hmm.
like, what is happening? And but there's
Hmm.
so much learning that comes from it, but nobody ever teaches. You're not ready for that. Nobody ever tells you that. So
No.
it's very complicated.
Yeah.
So I
Thank you.
really
Yeah. This
relate to
gets
that.
as real as it can. I'm sure
Yes,
we
yes,
understand what you are saying here. And
yes.
thankfully, there is new age cinema. Finally, they have done some movies where you can understand love as this whole spectrum of emotions and not just a big positive and a big negative. And like now they have at least covered some broad spectrum of what's happening, but also how it feeds into us, right? Like, I will never find love. Why? Because now these Bollywood stars are they they are enacting something. So they are in their perfect bodies, perfect saris, perfect always makeup on, and it's feeding into something in our psyche, right? What, like, I'm sure that there may be people in our lives who may have directly, indirectly given us some feedback, but also media feeds into a lot of uh, how we start to believe and get into these zones. So thank you so much for sharing. Would you like to nominate somebody?
Yes, I nominate Samriddhi.
Good. Sam.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So jumping to conclusion,
Mhm.
mental shortcut or rule of thumb that simplifies decision making and problem solving, speed up the process of finding a satisfactory solution, but can also lead to cognitive biases. Fortune telling, a person assumes that they know what is going to happen in the future. Mind reading, person jumps to the conclusion that they know what someone else is thinking, usually in a negative sense. Example, he's intentionally avoiding me. She must think I'm incompetent. I'll fail the interview. They are not interested in what I have to say.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing the slide with us. Again, if anything is relatable, just tell us, or if you're thinking, that's okay. Or anybody else wants to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely do all of them. Like, and a lot of times I realize because, my partner is someone who's like very different from me. So he has a very, very different like worldview and way of looking at things and understanding people. So sometimes we'll go through the same situation together, and his perspective will be very different from mine. And usually mine will be like the more negative kind of perspective in some things, and some things opposite. But then it just makes me realize how much we are actually just projecting, because I see that somebody else has been through the exact same thing and come out with like a fully different conclusion.
I know what you're saying.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, Sam. So thank you for sharing. Anybody else wants to talk here? Find anything? Okay, there's
I
something.
actually was wondering, what does the second point, how does it look like?
1 second. So when we jump to a conclusion, sometimes we are just trying to avoid the pain of इतना क्या सोचना है, यही हुआ होगा ना. Speed up the process of finding a satisfactory solution, but also lead to a cognitive bias, right? This is almost like जब हम जंप करते हैं कंक्लूजन पे, तो इसके प्रोज क्या हैं, ये बता रहा है ये लाइन. इसका फायदा क्या है कि वी आर एबल टू स्पीड अप द प्रोसेस ऑफ finding a satisfactory solution so that we can close the conversation in our head. यही हुआ होगा और क्या होगा, right? It's like that negative chatter, and then we can quickly close it, dismiss the person or the situation or the experience we are having. And so it's little less unburdening in some way, Stuti, that khatam ho gayi baat, it's over, it's all about her. Okay, so it's over. So, and it also feeds into our ego at a deeper level, because when we are quickly speeding up and saying this is how they always do, अब ये भी कर दिया तो अब यही, so there's quick jumping to conclusion, basically being very judgmental of others or of ourselves, very, very judgmental. And that quickly leads to closure of thoughts in our head and keeps us in our safe zone of judging ourselves and others a little bit more harshly, if I may just say so. Does that help? Okay, thank you. Padma, yeah, go ahead with your question, please. Or sharing, whatever.
It's more of a sharing. These days, I was able to, find this pattern in me. Like, I used to wait for my friend to call me back, and I get to know that she called someone else already, but she didn't call me for a few days, and I keep on getting into these conclusions of like she's not caring for me, or she's not valuing me. So all these conclusions are already jumped into my head, and I was like, and I after I got the call, when I heard her reason, then all those will be of complete opposite.
Yeah. Yeah, when you
So
actually integrate the other person's story.
yeah. So, and I could see this in my day-to-day life also. Like, uh, if I'm little bit kind of unintentionally kind of poured a glass of water on the floor, and
Hmm.
there is this little in my head saying that, oh, the person beside me would now think that I'm clumsy, and
Hmm.
there would be a sudden reaction in my body like, oh, I have done something wrong or something like that. Now he might think like about me like that.
Again, jumping
So
to
I
conclusion about yourself
yeah,
and the
yeah,
other person.
y-
Hmm.
yeah, in a very subtle ways of making conclusion about myself in day-to-day life.
Yeah, that's that's where we are sometimes. I I relate. Especially when
Thank
people
you,
go
thank you.
missing. When people go missing from WhatsApp chats, and I myself go missing, by the way. There will be 10 other people who will be telling the same thing about me, but I think I told this about last time as well. Especially when people go missing, it just triggers that key. You know,
Yeah,
uh, I must have made them mad, So, because if you have been a people pleaser and then crawling your way out of it, then anything that anybody is doing, you just kind of internalize and say, kuch kar to nahi diya maine, have I irked them? So jumping to conclusion is very common, but we have to catch ourselves, like, what is the data that is supporting this? Is there any data? Have I inquired? uh, or at least hold it on or discuss with somebody. So yeah. Shipra, you want to
yeah,
add
but
something? I see your hand
sorry.
raised. Sorry, Padma, go ahead.
Uh, these days, more than introspecting my whether this is true or not, what really helped me in the situation of my friend calling me, the just last few days, I was just holding myself to not to call her, or I'm sitting with my feelings, like what is really happening or what kind of thoughts are coming in. So all these thoughts are actually pointing towards me seeking for more love or more uh, care from others.
Yeah, yeah.
So it is actually pointing towards it, and I think that's where I am. I don't know uh, what is it that I can do to actually self care more than asking that from others. What is
Hmm.
it that I am lacking that I could give that care by myself? So, so
Or
I was just looking into
that's
those
one, yeah,
terms.
yeah, absolutely right. And we'll come to some strategic ways of untwisting them. But since we are on this conversation, sometimes aren't we in our own way of receiving love? मैं क्यों पूछूं फोन क्यों नहीं किया? Why should I ask? Like, it's a gentle inquiry. Hey, is everything okay? I was waiting for your call. But,
Yeah,
sometimes we are in our own way and our ego is in our way. And
y-
frankly, we can create the loneliness for ourselves at a very deep level, you know?
yeah, yeah.
And is it so much about you seeking love from others, or is it you depriving yourself of love from your close ones? So those are two very different themes,
Sorry, what is the second line? You depriving?
We are in our own way. I know if like, I'm in my own way. I'm not making even a gentle inquiry, Padma. So I am
Okay,
in my own way. I am depriving myself of connection.
got it, got it. Thank you, thank you.
Like, you understand what I'm saying? That
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
now I am not
Completely.
here to uncover the whole belief, but generally, why are we in our own way? Is there a belief that I am not lovable? that I am testing others, let them show up organically. I won't make this gentle inquiry. Because if they love me, they'd call me. Or like again, like this can be a build up. So I'm not getting into uncovering the belief, but does any of this resonate?
Yeah, it definitely resonates because I kind of if she does really care, she would really call.
Yeah.
So that statement really sticks in my mind.
Yeah. And have we tried giving a feedback in the past that I miss you? It'll be nice if you can maybe check on me more often than what we are doing now. Can we be vulnerable and share what we want? So that could be some unjumbling there. But thank you so much for your vulnerability and
Thank you.
sharing. I see so many hands going up. Shipra?
Yes, Chani. So whatever you said is very relatable, and jumping to conclusion reminds me of my childhood. So I remember as a kid, whenever my parents would be overwhelmed, they would be angry, they would be yelling. I internalized the message that I'm not loved because I would get yelled at, or I mean, of course, they had a lot of things going on. I never realized that as a kid, but adulting is pathetic. Nobody teaches you how to do it. But I mean, I understand now, and I'm more compassionate now. But when I was a kid, of course, there's no rational. So
Yeah.
this happened a lot when I was a kid. So it's very relatable.
Oh, that is so relatable too for me also. Anyway, yeah, words matter, right? The yelling matters. And it takes us so much time to understand and separate it from they may still love us but act a certain way. So
Very
yeah,
true. Yes.
not saying accept toxic behavior. No, I'm not for that. But some people don't have a way with words or emotional regulation, but does not necessarily mean that they don't love us. They should be regulating better. Sure, but thank you for bringing that up. Namu?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
I can.
With the things that Padma said with friendship. So, in relation to that, so maybe what's happening is I'm maybe protecting myself by not reaching out to them.
Yeah.
I'm like not expecting anything from them. So by not reaching out to them, maybe I'm in a way protecting myself from the expectations. So that's what may be happening. So even I'm going through the same phase with my friendship.
Yeah, so
So
true.
yeah,
If I could just rephrase, and please feel free to correct me if I am jumping to
yeah,
conclusion.
yeah.
Is protecting. Yeah. So you are,
Myself from getting hurt.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it's going deeper one layer from expectations. And yeah, we are protecting ourselves from getting hurt. So thank you so much for that
yeah.
sharing. We
So
do cut.
if they don't reach out to me first, I'll get hurt. So it's better I'll not reach out to them.
Yeah.
So
On
yeah,
that note,
but
I should
yeah,
really say that relationships, to some degree, because we are on planet Earth, we are not on some Himalayas,
yeah,
there will be some attachment.
yeah,
So some reciprocal nature of relationships is okay. That may even be a need and not an expectation, right? What's the difference between a need and an expectation? Expectation can be every week she should have coffee with me. But a
yeah,
need is when I am going through my hardest stuff, my friend is checking on me. That's like as basic as
yeah,
it can get. Okay.
yeah,
So also do not misinterpret this into believing that we just have to keep correcting, think positive. No, like let's also bring some sort of subjectivity to this whole concept of avoiding negative thinking. Uh, but you brought up such a valid point in terms of we trying to sometimes protect ourselves from that hurt. अगर मैं expect करूंगी तो hurt होगा, अगर मैं बोलूंगी तो hurt होगा, because vulnerability. But I have some
Yeah.
interesting facts for you. So more often than not, कहीं backfire ही हो गया तो मैं कह नहीं सकती. If people are really crazy, then I can't say. But in most places, vulnerability leads to more connection. You know? So something like if a husband comes home and wife has been waiting for him whole day long, and she goes, now you have come home and you still want to sit in front of the TV. That's an attack. But actually what she's feeling is she's been missing him the whole day, and if she was to start like, I missed you, is it okay if we have a chat? But you see, that's not easy. It's a lot of vulnerability in that statement. So vulnerability, I mean, which husband is going to say, no, I still want to see the TV? So it rarely happens, right? If we are opening up to vulnerable statements, if somebody has to take advantage, yeah, those rare events can happen. But in most cases, it's leading to more connection. Okay, can we please nominate the next person? And I want to skip a few slides. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking about the distortions and never get to the solutions. So is everybody okay to, like, sure, we have just gone past one distortion, but can we just see how to, one or two, sorry, but untwist? So can we please nominate the next person, whoever was speaking?
Rima.
Rima. Okay, thank you. So Rima, you have to read this slide really slowly. Okay. And if you are in no mood to read, you're absolutely free to pass it further, because I understand it's 10 o'clock. Can you nominate somebody else? I think Rima is probably here, but also multitasking a few things, like most of us. So go ahead. Do you want to know?
Prabha?
Prabha.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Resolving
Yes.
distorted thinking. Identify the distortion. Write down your negative thoughts. Help identify with cognitive distortion you have. Makes it easier to think about the problem in a realistic manner. Examine the evidence. Instead of assuming your negative thoughts as true, examine actual evidence. List severe things you do correctly when you feel you cannot do anything right. The double standard method. Talk to yourself in the same compassionate and kind way you would talk to a friend. Replace the harsh tone to be kind. The experimental technique. Do an experiment to test the validity of your negative thought. Example, in episode of panic of a heart attack, start moving around or take stairs. Prove your heart is healthy. Thinking in shades of grey. Evaluate things in a range of 0 to 100 rather than all or nothing. Think of things as partial success rather than a complete failure.
I know thank you so much for that slow reading. But even as it gets absorbed, it'll be worth our while to keep this slide here and return to your journals at least for next 2 to 3 minutes and see if you are able to bring up a very common negative thought, even if we cannot just yet get into the first one where we have to identify the distortion, so we should know all distortions. But you also read a slide which gave a brief overview of all the distortions, so if you want, you could also do that. But all others are still very possible to practice here in. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. For next 3-4 minutes, let's just go to our journal. Think of a common thing that we most negatively think about and see if any of this flies with you. Okay? Any of this you feel ready to journal or write, or even the experiment may not be possible, all of it today, right now, but see what you can. Just quick check. What do you all see on the screen? The slide, right?
Yes, the same
Oh,
slide.
okay, because I see you all, so I was just reconfirming. Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. Please continue writing for those of you who want to. Madhuri, would you like to share anything that you got as an insight?
Yeah. So when I was thinking about it, right now I'm looking for a career switch and all of that, and it's very difficult after spending so much, like more than a decade in particular career, and it's a totally different field that I want to go. There's always this fear or a negative thinking that will I be able to do it? What if it doesn't happen? And with all the people also nearby who keeps telling that, इसमें कुछ नहीं होना है, you already have a set career, why do you want to change it? And stuff like that. What I have realized earlier, it used to really freak me out that, and for like past, I think 3, 4 years, I had been delaying that okay, not now, not now. अभी ये है, अभी वो है. So I was trying to like postpone it. But it was when I really got burnt out of the field I was working in. What I could understand is that I thought that maybe I will not earn that much I was earning there, but at least it will give me some sort of satisfaction and some sort of, think that whatever I can do, I'll do my best. So, one thing that I observed with distorted thinking was in this space, you're very closed. And then your mind gives you things like only this is practical, this is obvious. There are no other perspective to it. So they really close the other way of thinking, right?
Yeah,
People who
exactly.
are used to yeah, like I'm trying to do this, and I mean I'm not telling them to like really support me in what I'm doing, but this way of telling that nahi ye nahi ho sakta, what you are doing is very impractical. This is the way of I can give you um just give you consolation कि हाँ हाँ हो जाएगा, but ये तो झूठ होगा. So it's a very closed way of looking at things, is what I understood. Like
Yeah,
you can even tell someone that see it might be difficult for you, but you try this things and see how it goes. And this is a more, I think, balanced way of telling someone who's rather than just shunning it off and closing all the ways, and by marking it as obvious and practical and realistic. So that really, I think, when people it, I mean, I might also have done it in my
yeah.
earlier but I have seen that it's a very closed way of perspective that और कुछ exist नहीं करता, सिर्फ यही है.
Right, right. I hear you. Yeah, that's quite real for most of us. Very relatable. Thank you for sharing shipwright saying. Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much. If anybody else wants to share, you can raise your hand. Meanwhile, I'll also go back to the slides and see where we left. Thank you, Madhuri. Ditto experience happening right now in life. Okay. So, anyway, after the theory class, these slides will come to you. Please know that this is a slightly deep meditative work. So, also, if the stats are anything to be believed, this untwisting can take some time. So be kind to yourself in the process. Sometimes it will like, Arey, I've tried everything. I'm still not able to untwist this thought. Talk it out. It's okay. Okay. But I'll also say that even just the awareness of what are these categories is like half the victory. Because then we are catching ourselves more often and we are more aware. Okay, going back to the slides. So, all or nothing thinking. Who was speaking? Madhuri, you were speaking last, so please nominate somebody. I mean,
Someone who's
sure,
not
I can just finish it in 5 minutes reading out, but I prefer that even if we discuss 4 distortions, it's slightly deeper than just on the surface. So that's the pace. But yeah, please select somebody.
Dimple.
Okay.
Thank you, Madhuri.
Hi, Dimple.
Hi, Chandni. All or nothing thinking. Overview. Seeing things in extremes or in terms of only two options. I think I got the right slide.
Oh,
Black,
yeah.
black and white thinking. What's that word? Dichotomous thinking.
It's basically the same. Yeah.
Use absolute words like always, never, everything, and nothing.
Hmm.
Can lead to pessimism and resignation.
Yeah.
Example, I ate 2 cookies. I may as well quit the diet because I can't follow it. He forgot my birthday. He just doesn't love me. I got angry on my son. I'm such a terrible mother. He made a mistake in simple maths. He will never pass this exam.
Yeah.
I can connect with everything so well, especially seeing things in extremes. I can just jump guns. Okay,
Give me an
and
example if you're okay.
yeah, but this is something to do with health and other things. Like if my son would fall unwell, I'll only think of the extreme situation. And even
Yeah.
if someone like my dad has to go for a test, I will try not to let it bother me till the result comes, till the report comes. But then I get too anxious, and it's like I have to think the negative. And I tell myself that it doesn't really have to be the negative, but I think, I don't know, it just happens. It comes up very spontaneously. That's been happening for the last some time.
So anything you are just
And
more recently struggling with, which also happens pretty often?
in terms of extremes?
Yeah, the one that we did just now.
Can you just go back to the slide? There were last
Yes.
2 examples that I could resonate with.
Yeah.
If someone misses my birthday, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm not important for this person. And yeah, if I shout at my kids, I'm like, where's the patience? How can I be a mother like this? And there was one more last example. When I sit with my son for his handwriting work, I'll be like, you know what, you can never do it. So yeah.
So
I
let's
hope that
go to
makes
the
sense.
birthday example. Let's go to the birthday example.
Yes.
Okay. And then see if you can use something on this slide to untwist. This is not the first slide. This is the second slide I'm putting for everybody to also read. But just see if anything makes sense for you. Actually, let's go with the first one also, if you think, and read all, but I think we could test the first one.
You want me to read that?
Yeah.
Solving distorted thinking.
Yeah.
The survey method.
Hmm.
Ask people to find out if your thoughts and attitudes are realistic. Example, if you're nervous about public speaking, ask if others too feel the same.
So let's ask the audience here. You felt that your friend or relative or whoever hasn't wished you on your birthday. So maybe you're not important to them. Okay. So can somebody just come up with an alternate thought? Because this doesn't directly concerns us. So maybe it might be a little easier. What could be certain other reasons, or has it happened with somebody else, or what are some of the other assumptions, and is this realistic, or is this something that you want to contribute from the audience? If you have forgotten somebody's birthday, and how do you feel about that? What happens? Why do you forget? Anybody can contribute.
Chandni, can I go?
Yeah, please.
So 2 aspects. I have a friend, we're very close friends, but it's not like we speak. I don't think we speak that often also. And she never remembers my birthday. In fact, there was a time when she was speaking to me on my birthday and she's not wished me.
Okay.
So,
That's
uh, So nowadays, on my birthday, I remind her, hey, it's my birthday, you can wish me today. So that's what I do now.
That's
But
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, but then, I mean, I know that with her, she just doesn't remember dates and birthdays. She just
Okay.
doesn't.
Otherwise,
So
what's the quality of the friendship in one line?
it, it's ev- every time we connect, we're back to connecting exactly where we left off.
So it's a deep friendship. It's not a fake
Yes.
one.
No.
Okay.
And it's not even one of those friendships where we talk every day or, we know every single thing that's happening in each other's life. It's not even one of those.
Okay. Thank you for that perspective. So it doesn't look like she forgets on purpose, but it also doesn't look like she's one of those who can write it down and put it up as a post-it on her fridge and say, today is my friend's birthday.
Yeah. And she's
Okay.
okay if you don't wish her on hers also. She's fine with it. Like, I mean,
So she's not preaching something and doing something else. Okay. Yeah. Although we do have an opportunity to explain that मुझे पसंद है birthday wishes receive करना, तो जो आप कर रहे हो वो बिल्कुल ठीक कर रहे हो, क्या है, भूल गए क्या मुझे wish करना? So okay, that's one perspective. Anybody else? So
just
basically
one
what
more
we are
thing.
concluding here is that remembering birthdays or forgetting birthdays is not defining the depth of a relationship or care. Okay. What's next?
So one more perspective is my own. Sometimes, especially in the past 1 or 2 years, I've really like forgotten quite a few birthdays.
Same. I'm not proud
Really,
of
like,
it either. Hmm.
I'm not proud of it either. But then I figured that okay, बाद में कुछ genuinely apologize, ठीक है, I really forgot, and then have a conversation which matters. I think that makes more sense.
It's a very interesting perspective. Dimple, have you forgotten anybody's birthday ever?
I might have. Sometimes, I see messages on the group and I'll be like, okay, I'll message later. And then you don't end up messaging. We tend to forget sometimes at the end of the day. Then I'll remember the next day or something and I'll send a private text.
Oh, that is so sweet of you to admit. Are these people any less special to you?
They're all family. There are like so many groups and it's on mute. I tend to miss them.
Oh,
Like now, just while telling you this, I remember that I missed like 2, 3 birthdays back to back to back. And yeah.
great. So we have some perspective. Dimple, does that help?
Yeah. So Chandni, this used to matter a lot before. Now I'm like,
It's
it's
much
okay.
better.
It's just a
Very
birthday.
good.
Yeah. It's like,
Very
it's
good.
okay. It's just a birthday.
It's
And everybody's
perfect.
lives are so busy that I don't think I can hold this against them. But yeah, when I live in
Exactly.
the same house and someone misses it or purposely doesn't message on the group, then I'm like, okay, there's something wrong here. So yeah, it goes like
I
that.
get it. I understand. Well, thank you so much. Somebody's saying something on the chat. This happens with me. In your head, you'd think you texted, and then days later, you realize you simply didn't text. Yeah. This happened with me with my mother-in-law. Like, it's the weirdest thing ever. In the morning, I have a Google Calendar invite showing up her birthday. And so I'm like, yeah, see, I'm not going to forget this one. And then by evening, my sister-in-law is calling and saying, आपने wish नहीं किया क्या उनको आज? And I'm like, oh, this has done this, the whole circle. And I'm like, this has happened to me quite a bit. But thank you so much for your candid sharing. Dimple, can you please choose somebody else to now go next?
Yes. Can I choose Vinisha?
Yeah, I can do this. Discounting the positive, rejecting positive experiences or feedback as insignificant or invalid. Positive aspects of a situation are dismissed as something of little value. And people with low self esteem tend to use this cognitive distortion. Examples could be that compliment doesn't really mean anything. They're just being nice. Oh, this one's like so much relatable. It was an easy exam. That's why I got good marks. He's supposed to give me gifts. It's no big deal. It's something I should have known anyway, so it doesn't matter. Well, the compliment one, I definitely can relate to that. To just doubt when people gave me compliments.
And so, are there ways you have been already untwisting this, or do you think something here can help you navigate?
I mean, a
So,
lot of it now has like a lot of things.
has
That
shifted.
narrative is changing, definitely, yes. And I realized one more thing about compliments, that it's a lot better when you take a compliment with grace and just accept it. You can do the doubt part later in your head, figure it out, but accept it initially and then you can let it absorb later.
Yeah, I would
At
say
least
don't
that's
absorb. Go to the third way. Don't even absorb. Go to the third one and read it for me. We'll just try this.
yeah.
So talk to yourself in the
Sometimes,
double standard
yes.
method. Yeah.
Sometimes it feels unbelievable. Oh, what are they saying, right? Like, they must be like totally saying something off.
Yeah. What's going there? Yeah, I know. It's a lot of inner critic, no?
Yes, very much.
If your friend was having a hard time receiving feedbacks, what would you tell her or him?
Sometimes I find myself telling them like, just take it with the I'm telling you this in a genuinely and I mean it. I'm not just fluffing it up.
You know, Venisha, how
Hey,
hard it is to give a compliment?
yes, it's very hard.
For a
But
lot of
in the
people.
last 1 week only, I met like two people who have been able to give compliments random people. Just I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah, that seems like a rehearsed part and good. Maybe it even comes to them naturally, but very, very, very right about what you said. If you'd be telling your friend that, Are, I really mean it when I'm telling you this, right? When I'm giving you this compliment, I really mean it because most of us also just look at the way these slides are built, right? 90% negative, sorry, 75% negative, 90% repetitive. इसका मतलब कि कितना सोचना पड़ता होगा किसी को या कोशिश करनी पड़ती होगी कॉम्प्लीमेंट देने में like it's not like we are so easy to give compliments. So now if somebody is giving a compliment, just take it. Do not even leave it for laters.
Just
And
take it. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and imagine you giving compliments to your friends and what you're telling them is absolutely right. So just turn it inside. So beautiful sharing. But any more questions or thoughts on that? Telling them stories, anecdotes, experience that validates the quality. You're so helpful because I always felt supported by you during hard times. That's such a beautiful one, Stuti. I'm generally using it with parents and myself also as a parent instead of just telling my son, good boy, because that's an easy one, right? Good boy. I'm trying to describe him something and then he can conclude that he's a good boy. Or I'll describe and then follow it up with a good boy. So remember, sometimes in corporates, you'll get these two-liners of this is excellent work. Nobody knows what excellence they're talking about. So it's some of those kinds of khali compliment be it can become sometimes what are they talking about. So yeah, Stuti, it's a very, very good point you brought up. Am I missing anything here? There's something on the chat. This entire PPT feels personal. It is personal and so relatable. Okay, thank you. Maybe my Insta handle name is now Now this is called fishing for compliments. So it is relatable therapist. So good. Ditto experience. Okay, good. Thank you, Vinisha. Can you please choose somebody? We have last few minutes. Maybe we can go few more.
I think everybody's done.
You can choose me.
Please, you can take.
Actually, Namu
Take.
didn't speak. Namu, do you want? Is that okay, Vinisha?
Yeah, go ahead. Anyone.
Namu, are you there? I know it's so late.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
If you could please read it.
Mental filter.
Yeah.
Mental filter overview. A disproportionate amount of attention to small negative details instead of seeing the larger picture, which often has more positive details. Positive aspects of a situation get ignored or are distorted, involve a filtering in or filtering out process similar to tunnel vision. I got one piece of negative feedback. So my presentation was a disaster. My son got a C in one subject. He is not going to pass the exam. Why don't you ever listen to me? I can't do anything right. Yeah. So one small disaster in anything leads to just not like ending up not doing anything. Like you just end up leaving all the things you have done, and then just the whole day ending up spoiled because of one small
Exactly.
thing.
And more
Yeah.
importantly, yeah, it is what you said right in the end. It's a disproportionate amount of attention to very small negative details. Very, very small
Yeah.
negative details. We are not even talking about major mistakes. Usme to shayad maybe we need some thinking also, but these are very, very tiny, tiny ones. Like if somebody just after this presentation says, इसको थोड़ा आप slide show पे रख देते तो अच्छा होता. And I'm like, that's it. Like mine is gone. I'm not. It's just spoiled my day. You understand? That means I'm using a mental filter and really making it hard for myself. So thank you, Namu. Can you nominate somebody else?
You
Okay, labeling.
go.
I was waiting to be called. Oh, overview. Assigning labels to self, others, and the world. Often harsh and negative labels that make global statements based on behavior in specific situations. People may use negative labels even though there are many more examples that are not consistent with that label at all. Okay? She's irresponsible because she's often late to work. Now, if you just stay with that example for a moment, this she may have demonstrated a lot of good work consistently in most of her projects, which obviously demonstrates that she can be trusted and she's responsible in whatever is assigned to her. But because of that specific characteristic of hers, that she may not be able to be on time at a lot of times, we are overall calling her irresponsible. Because you don't know my personal therapy clients, I'll just share an example on anonymity. I was talking to a husband who said, you know why I'm not feeling so attracted to my partner now? She has stopped challenging herself. She has stopped going for that gym. She has stopped going for that whatever. So I just asked him, because I talked to both and they are opening a new franchisee chain, imagine a chain. And she's at the forefront of figuring where all the stores will be. They are sitting in the US. So I just asked him how challenging is that, and then he went on for next 5 minutes describing that it's really a road less traveled. She has done all of these things. And so this is a classic example of where she lags in taking care of her health probably, and that's actually a lot of things that has happened to her health. That's why he's so concerned and getting over and over around that she has to challenge herself for a better health. But then to conclude that my partner does not challenge anything. She's not challenging the status quo. So I would be more joyful, peaceful around her if I see her challenging herself. So, these are the ways this will start happening. Anybody can relate to what we're talking here. And it's 10:30, so please feel free to, of course, drop in. It's been a long session. But if people who wants to stay back and discuss more, we'll just do 1 or 2 rounds of other things.
I can
Other,
relate to this label a lot. I
yeah.
mean, at home only, if we are, say, some days we are down and we don't want to do anything, it's very easy to say, ये तो बहुत आलसी है, ये बहुत lazy है, ये कुछ नहीं करती है. So these kind of labels are very, and particularly, I mean, in my society, kind of people I have seen that the examples that you gave, in corporates also I have seen this. A person might be working very hard, very well, but if she is not like their expectation, she's not completely meeting those expectations, कुछ ना कुछ label लगा के they'll be just like, ये ऐसे है, she is just taking it very lightly, she doesn't want promotion. So that kind of labeling, you're not seeing where that person is coming from, but just those actions, what is going on. So I
Exactly.
feel that that's
Actions
brings out a
also in a
very
specific domain. Actions also in a very specific domain. Maybe I like to sleep in late on a Sunday.
yeah. Yeah,
But
maybe
once
I'm not
I'm,
able to get
yeah,
something is
yeah,
there. They don't want to understand that. I'm not talking about
yeah,
corporates here,
yeah,
personal life, like parents also. But what they see is she's very lazy. She doesn't want to do anything. She just wants to be on the bed. So they don't want to understand what is going on actually, but just like to label that ये ऐसे ही है, ये बस lazy है. She's not serious for her life, like those kind of
that.
irresponsible, yeah, that kind of attitude.
So is there anything on the slide that, first of all, if you even believe that, then we should go into that slide, or have you been able to untwist some of these narratives anyhow? Yeah, because the question is, does their labeling put you in a negative thought zone? Or maybe we have built those mechanisms where we understand that's their viewpoint. I don't have to take it.
Yeah, I have one thing to tell here. So the more I understood that, this is like not doing good for me. I mean, I'm not blaming the other person for not I mean, shunning down my ideas or labeling me. But the more I understood, the more I got to hear that पहले तो you used to take this, now अब क्या हो गया? So they don't understand where I'm coming from, but पहले तो you were okay with this, now you are not okay. So you understand that
Yeah, yeah.
not let you shift your mindset also, because they are so rigid in theirs that any change for you, they first of all they don't understand maybe, but they just tell you that पहले ऐसा नहीं था, पहले ऐसा नहीं था.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we should also, so if you look at the experimental technique, so not only can you do the experiment to test the validity of your negative thought, but also experiment to test the validity of others' negative thoughts about you. And then it's a very powerful tool. Because labeling is generally stemming from one kind of, maybe our area of life. Right? Like my mother wants to believe that मैं घर का अच्छा ध्यान नहीं रखती हूँ क्योंकि मैं कुकिंग नहीं करती हूँ. So that it's literally reserved for special occasions or really special times, to be honest. So वो जब आते हैं तो वो with all her well-being in her heart for me and my family members, she will try to change everything around the house because the belief is कि मैं घर का ध्यान अच्छे से नहीं रखती हूँ. So it took me a while to detach from that instead of getting in an over explanatory zone to come back to myself and experiment the validity of even her negative thoughts around my household or my housekeeping responsibilities. And I was really able to give myself a lot of proofs within the environment and experimenting also, right? So the cook is so trained, and every time a new person comes, I am the one training, right? So, and now it has come to a point where if I have no time, I'll keep an overlap between the two live-ins, and this one will train the other one. So whatever it is, this is a smooth process. so giving that kind of experimental nature of, is this house really in a mess, right? What is that proof that I can see here? So this could be her comparing my ways of doing things to her way of doing things, because she has lovingly fed us all 3 meals every single day of her life. So that. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing. Sorry, you were saying something.
That the parents instill in us, to get detached from that is very difficult because it's so ingrained from since childhood. You keep hearing that. So for the longest
Agreed.
time, I could not believe that I could be in such spaces because my mom, especially yoga, I could not do because my mom used to always tell me that you are not physically that agile.
Yeah.
So I used to always believe that, okay, I am not that physically agile. But when I went to my yoga teacher training, the first thing I heard from my teacher was that you have a discipline of an athlete. You are mentally so open to things that you have to work on your body for sure, but mentally you have a discipline of an athlete and you can go a long way. So
That's
to detach
lovely.
from that very difficult, like, because you have been fed that thing since your childhood.
So true. Yeah. But also, this is precisely the training ground we have chosen to grow better in our self-esteem. And it's not to get in a zone of ki, I don't want to receive any feedback. Of course, if it's, if it's a true feedback coming from a place of some real well-being of yours, by all means take it. But more often than not, the labeling is criticism. And so it's important to really look inward and start to use inner validation more than anything else. And you can do experiments. You can actually run this thought past some of your, like you said, this teacher said completely different thing. So the experimental approach is, let me ask few more friends on this. It is not seeking external validation. It is really sometimes we get trapped, as we all discussed, in this negative thinking. So, okay, but it's been a great session so far. So there are a few others, and I'll be sharing the deck with you. There's one on magnification, emotional reasoning, the should and must statements, personalize and blame. Uh, and then, of course, there are 2 slides on resolving distorted thinking, which we very briefly touched upon. It's a very deep, elaborate topic, so sit with the slides if you all can. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to take this concept, which I feel is very relevant in today's age and time. And I believe tomorrow we will have our regular breath work. If you want, we can touch open this next week too. But Sam, I'll be traveling if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
I would like to, because there are at least 4 or 5 slides pending.
We can also work the day around,
4th?
Chandni. We can do it on a Wednesday or
Huh.
a Thursday. We can have normal
Then,
breath work on Tuesday.
yeah, then let's actually do it. Okay, Yeah, because this is a very detailed topic, and there was no point in just finishing all the slides and not kind of
Yeah, and I
getting.
think it'll be nice for everyone also to come back to it and revisit it also.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sam. And oh my God, so many of you stayed 10 minutes after the class. This is beautiful dedication, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
On any follow-up questions, maybe we can use the group or probably use the next theory session, which I believe could be a Wednesday or a Thursday, and Tuesday can be a breathwork session. So thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye
Bye. Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.